Hi everyone, I'm Katie Emanuel. Happy week before spring break. I hope you enjoy my book blessing. My first book I want to talk about is Zlata's Diary. This is a bestseller. It's a collection of diary entries starting from 1991 through 1993 during the siege in Sarajevo. Zlata is an 11-year-old girl who captures what life is like for a child living in a war-torn country. This book echoes Anne Frank, depicting the life of an everyday child against that background of darkness. This book would be appropriate for middle school age students, even early high school, connecting to social studies, content about conflicts in foreign countries. It contains colored photos of Zlata during that time period, helping to kind of pique student interest. This book can serve as a window into the life of a student or of a child in a war-torn country for some of our students who couldn't imagine that, but also might serve as a connections for some of our refugee students. The second book that I have is A World Away, and this book is set in the 1500s, where the main character, Nadi, is taken from her home to England. She's a Native American girl taken to England, where she meets Tom, who is an English blacksmith, and eventually the two fall in love. While the love story is prominent, the struggles faced between people from two different backgrounds serves its purpose as like a diversity study. The story is told from both Nadi and Tom's perspective through alternating chapters, giving two sides of the story. When Tom and Nadi eventually return back to the New World, they face more adversity as the colonists they are with are met by hostile Native Americans who are just protecting their land and their people. The book is a good depiction of the historical clash between colonists and Native Americans. Each respective culture is explored through the eyes of the two main characters. The third book that I have is actually an anthology. It's The American Street, a multicultural anthology of stories. This is a collection of 14 stories, and as the title indicates, it includes multiple depictions of people from all different backgrounds and their stories, which all have to do with fitting in, finding their place in American society. These stories all have teen or young adult characters who discuss their struggles, their triumphs of being, different. All of these stories do a great job providing insight to different cultures, showing how these cultures are important to the characters and to America as a whole. In our heritage unit that I just finished with my students, we used the story All American Slurp from American Street, which my students really liked. It served as a good conversation starter about traditions from my students' own culture and how they differ from traditions in American culture. The next book I have is This Dream. This is a rhyming picture book, would be a great introduction for young students, about segregation in America. It begins with examples of segregation in the past, like separate drinking fountains, schools and libraries, and then it goes on, so it starts with segregation in the past. It goes on to talk about the people who stood up for these social injustices. Shows boycotts on the bus. And then in the end, it shows the changes that were made and kind of what life is more reflected like now. It shows people eating wherever they would like, whatever facilities. The detailed illustrations are beautiful and captivate America's past and present. Voices from the Field is a book that fit really well with our heritage unit. It's a collection of stories, photos, interviews, and poems from the children of Mexican and Mexican-American migrant farm workers. So there's a variety of literature in this book. It gives a distinct voice to those children of the workers, highlights their struggles. There are different examples of experience in school, at work, at play, that students can connect to, or it can offer an insight or a window into their lives and experiences. All these stories are true accounts of what life was like or is like for migrant farm workers. My class just finished reading Esperanza Rising, and this book was a really good nonfiction companion text that covers similar issues and themes. The next book I have is Chata's Kitchen by Gary Soto. And this picture book is beautifully illustrated and it infuses Spanish vocabulary, names of traditional Hispanic foods. The story's about Chato inviting his new mice neighbors over for a delicious meal. He's ecstatic when the mice ask if he can bring a friend over for dinner. He thinks more mice for him to eat. The story unfolds with many Spanish words being used, as well as the dinner menu that's full of traditional Hispanic foods like enchiladas, guacamole, tamarindo. This book is appropriate for early elementary students, but I actually use this again in my Heritage unit to review context clues, as words in different languages require students to use those context clues. So here are some of the glossary words. They serve specifically for the Spanish vocabulary. So that is Chato's Kitchen. 22 Cents is a biography, a storybook, picture book biography of Muhammad Yunus. Yunus's story highlights socioeconomic diversity as he founded a bank and developed microcredit to help impoverished families take out small loans to help them to get out of poverty. The biography begins in Yunus's early life, describes his journey to creating Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, where he runs into a woman in need of just 22 cents to help buy supplies for her craft work, which she in turn uses to support her family. The story is accompanied by chalk pastel work and also includes an afterword about poverty in America, which is very fitting, kind of ties that into students' own lives. And finally, I have this book that does not have the title on the front, but is very evident of what it's about. So this is a biography of Nelson Mandela, a picture book about South Africa's first Black president, written in free verse poetry. The story of Mandela's life includes all of the struggles and oppression that he endured while fighting for the rights of Black South Africans. The book focuses more on his life prior to becoming president, but does end with his inauguration. It also includes an afterword about Mandela that gives students more facts about his life. Since the story itself is written in free verse poetry, the concrete facts are given at the end of the book in the afterword. The illustrations in the book are magnificent, are like lifelike photos almost. It's a really beautiful piece of artwork on top of a great story for students. Phrases in here, the whole book is written in English, but phrases in Zulu are also used along with the English text. And then the final book that I wanted to talk very, very quickly about was on John Oliver last week, and I don't have a copy of the book, and it's just an extra that I had, but it is Marlon Bundo, and it skyrocketed. It was John Oliver's parody of Mike Pence's Bunny Book, and the book was on the bestseller list for Amazon last week, and it is all about a bunny who falls in love with another boy bunny, and kind of an adventure ensues, but it brings up the context of a homosexual bunny, where it's not the whole focus of the story is not on the fact that he's a homosexual. It's just a cute children's story. So I thought that was fun too. I hope you guys have a great week. Enjoy your spring break.